Welcome everyone to the channel and welcome back to another army review and tactics. Today we're going to be talking about Dark Angel, specifically the Ravenwing, and we're going to go over some of the army review, specific units, stratagems, playstyle and tactics, and then I'll give you a list of an army built specifically for Ravenwing. As always, thank you so much for watching. We hope you subscribe, hit the like button. It really does help the channel, and we'll just get to it. So today we're talking about Dark Angel, specifically Ravenwing. So Ravenwing is the second company of the Dark Angels. They're mostly used for scouting. They're also the vanguard of the force, so they'll go up there, they'll scout, they'll clear the way for the Green Wing, and then also for the Deathwing to deep strike in. So in combination with the Deathwing and the Green Wing, the Ravenwing really fill a very unique position. They're almost exclusively comprised of bikes, speeders, and flyers. So most notably, they have different units, Black Knights, as well as certain speeders, and their Nephilim jet fighters, which we'll kind of go over in a little more detail. So when it comes to units for the Ravenwing, they have two specific HQs. They have Samael, and he has a very old but cool looking model on his jet bike. Then you also have the Talon Master, which is an upgraded speeder. Two heavy bolters, or a twin link heavy bolter, twin link auto assault cannon. He can also be upgraded to have a power sword. You used to be able to take Samael in Sable Claw, which was the upgraded speeder. Unfortunately, you can't do that anymore. But neither here nor there. These are still really good units, really good HQs, kind of on the pricey side. So one thing that I like to do is I like to run the old captain on a bike, or chaplain on a bike, or even a librarian on a bike, because the Psychomance disciplines for Dark Angels are fantastic. They're really good. So librarians are almost an auto include. Now obviously these are legacy characters, so you almost have to have them because you really can't find them. You can kind of kit bash them. That's kind of what I did. Of course, I've been playing for many years, and so I've already had these models. So most people will let you field them on the battlefield, no problem. The chaplain, the only instance with him is he doesn't have litanies of hate if you're taking the legacy chaplain. But I digress. So there's still plenty of options for HQs. Now, most of your army composition is going to be in the Outrider detachment, meaning you're going to have a lot of fast attack. You have up to 6 fast attack, and then this way you get your CPs back as well. So fast attack usually is going to comprise of your standard bikers, Ravenwing bikers. These can be kitted out multiple different ways. You can add plasma guns, melta guns, attack bikes as well. Obviously, if you're running a plasma, you can use Weapons of the Dark Age, which is really effective, especially for a Ravenwing army list. And then you have your special units like your Black Knights. These are going to be hard-hitting melee weapons. They're going to go up front, foremost, and really make your opponent be on the back foot, because they're going to charge in there and they're going to do a lot of damage. And then you also have your speeders, your typhoons, your tornadoes as well. This is also where you get like your Dark Shrouds and the Vengeance. So the Dark Shroud gives you cover, and then also your the Vengeance has the plasma batteries. So depending on what you want, if you're having a very speeder heavy army that has a lot of firepower, maybe stick with the Vengeance for the plasma. But if you're just running more bikes, maybe you want to go with the Dark Shroud, so you get that aura of like -1 to hit. That could be very good as well, especially on a large board. You have more ground to cover before you get to your enemy. And then last but not least, we have our elites. So you're going to have your Ravenwing Apothecary and your Champion. You could also use an Ancient as well. Specifically, I like to run the Apothecary more so than the Champion. Apothecary's there. You run him with your Black Knights. He gives them a 6+ Feel No Pain. And at the beginning of the movement phase, you get to get some wounds back as well, which is extremely helpful, keeping your guys alive. Now that everybody has multiple wounds as well, 3 wound models, that's very good. So some of the stratagems that you're going to want to take with a Ravenwing specific army, you're going to use full throttle. So this is after you've already made an advancing move. You can make an additional normal move up to 12 inches. So again, if you really want that unit to go snag an objective, you can zip up one of your speeders or your bike squads, because now bike squads have objectives secured with Ravenwing. So this is really good as far as like mid to late game when your opponent is on the back foot and maybe he's only got one or two models on that objective. You can zip a 5-man bike squad over there and then capture that objective and take it from them and potentially win the game. Another really good stratagem that you're going to come in contact with is the hunt. So this is before the first turn begins. One unit can make a normal move, but it has to remain at least 9 inches away from an enemy model. So this is a little bit like redeploying, right? You can put a unit over, let's say like a speeder or even just a unit of black knights, and you kind of tease your opponent in the deployment zone, say, hey, I'm going to go over here, and then zip them over 14 inches and kind of redistribute them, and then they get to move after that as well. So that you can really kind of put your opponent on the back foot from the beginning in your deployment phase. The last one is high speed focus. So this is in your opponent's shooting phase. Pick one unit that they target, and then that unit has a 4+ invul save from shooting attacks. So again, if you forget to, if you didn't advance, but you still, are taking a lot of fire, you really need that unit to survive to get into close combat or snag an objective. You can pop this stratagem, give it to them, and then now they're a little bit more durable to hold that objective. So when it comes to Ravenwing, it's all about maneuverability. So you're going to want to outflank your enemy. Use your Black Knights as well as maybe your like a smash captain on a bike, or your librarian, or even Samael to go and charge up the board first, be a distraction unit, maybe take out a unit that you really don't like. But then the rest of your army really wants to run circles around the enemy. You're going to use your fire base with your speeders, pump down a lot of shots downfield. Speeders are very good for that. They're cheap models points wise, and they have a lot of firepower as well, especially if you kit them out right. The assault cannon, heavy bolters, melta guns, the missile launchers as well. You can really get a lot of shots downfield, and the fact that you don't have the -1 to hit because you're heavy, that's fantastic. So you can really zip up. So you really want to use your speeders to have a fire base, so you don't want to get too close, but you can outrun anybody with the Ravenwings. They're not going to catch you. So staying out of close combat for your speeders is essential. And you can just whip around the board, taking objectives from your opponent. Really, that's what you want to do. And focus on objectives. You can easily capture objectives late game, turn 4, turn 5, you can zip over there, use a stratagem, go full throttle. You can move up to 24 to 26 inches depending on if it's a bike or a speeder, so you can cover a lot of ground really quickly, and that's what you want to do. You want to focus fire, maybe shoot an enemy off an objective, and then zip over the next turn, capture for yourself, get some victory points. Again, speeders are very good fire base. They're cheap, and you want to use them to your advantage and focus all your fire. Black Knights and your bike squads are going to push up the board, while your speeders are laying down cover fire and taking out priority targets. This is going to be the main focus of the list, and again, focusing on those objectives. Alright, so here we have an example of a 1250 point list for Ravenwing. Specifically it's 1245, but close enough. So starting off with our HQs, we have our standard captain on a bike. Again, I know this is a legacy character, however he is fairly cheap. He's only 105 points, and he's pretty stout as well. So again, he has 6 wounds, 4 attacks, +1 on the charge. He also has a Heavenfall blade, which gives him an extra attack. So he has 6 attacks on the charge, +2 to his strength, -4 AP, and 2 damage. So he is a beast in close combat, all for 105 points. For our second HQ, we have our chaplain on a bike. Again, He only has spiritual leaders, which this one it only grants. Basically, they can use his leadership instead of their own within a 6-inch aura. So it's not the greatest thing, but again, he's a decent character. He's got 5 wounds, 3 attacks, and he also has his Crozius, which is a flat 2 damage weapon. So I mean, it's still good against Primaris Marines or other 2 wound models. And I usually run him with my Black Knights because the Crozius and the Corvus hammers are very similar. Speaking of Black Knights, we have a 3-man unit, all with the Corvus hammers, so +1 strength, -1 AP, flat 2 damage. So again, you run him, the chaplain with the Black Knights, as well as the Apothecary, and the Apothecary is going to use his Narcisseum, or Narthecium, and that's going to give within 3 inches of this model. If they were to lose a wound on a 6+, that wound is not lost. Also, he can bring back models, D3 lost wounds as well. I think you have to upgrade him to a cheap apothecary to actually get the model back now. So he's not a cheap apothecary, but we're getting wounds back, we're negating wounds. Very nice little Death Star unit that your opponent has to deal with. And then for the rest of our fast attack here, we have 5 choices. So again, we can have up to 6. Technically there's 6 total, but if you're including the tornadoes together. But our first bike squad here, we just have a 5-man squad with an attack bike as well. So we have an attack bike with a multi-melta, and then we have a plasma gun, as well as a melta gunner, and then the sergeant has a power axe. And then another bike squad. This one sergeant has a power fist. We have a flamer, a plasma gun, and then just 2 standard bikers as well. Then we have our 2 tornadoes. So we have both with heavy bolters, both with assault cannons, one with a heavy bolter, one with a multi-melta. Then we have our Typhoon, who again has a heavy bolter and his Typhoon missile launcher. And then last but not least, we have our land speeder Vengeance. So this guy, he's pumping out a lot of damage. So his plasma storm battery, the standard, not supercharged, 2d3 heavy, strength 8, -3 AP, flat 2 damage, and blast. So once you supercharge this, it goes up to strength 9, -3, flat 3 damage. Now what's really cool is you can use this with weapons of the Dark Age. So just standards doing 3 flat damage, and then the supercharge is doing 4 flat damage. So those pesky outriders that have 4 wounds on those models, that's basically one-shot killing them. So this is extremely good, all for 125 points. Definitely want to bring 1, possibly 2 of these. They make for great fire support, and they're pretty beefy too. I mean, they got 9 wounds, toughness 6. I mean, they're nothing to scoff at either. And plus, if you move them just a little bit, you get a 5+ impulse save against shooting. So they're actually pretty good. I like taking my speeders. I have a lot of them. I think they're really good, cheap mobile platforms that can shoot and do a lot of damage. So this is the list. If you want to see a battle report with this list, I'll put a link up to on this video as well, so you can go watch that battle report and see how they do against the Blood Angels. But again, Ravenwing's probably my favorite out of all of the Dark Angels. They're really cool, really thematic on the board, seeing lots of bikes and speeders. They're fast, they're really good at capturing objectives, and they punch pretty hard too. So again, let me know what you think. As always, we appreciate the comments and feedback. Please hit that like and subscribe button, and as always, happy gaming.